the opposite of my father's advice, and I've been happy ever since.
You're watching a performance of the Country Gate Playhouse community theater production of Thornton Wilder's Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Our Town, the most produced play in the world, with scores of performances each and every week of each and every year.
M marries N. Millions.
In this final scene of the play, Emily Webb returns to the world of the living following her premature death. It is a life-affirming play, regarded by many to be as meaningful now as it was when first produced in 1938.
I kind of knew it, and I guess maybe I had seen pieces of the Paul Newman one, but no, I didn't really know.
The reason is they teach it in schools a lot, and the reason they do that is because it's a very good message for teenagers, and it's kind of like live while you can and do what you can while you're young and while you're able to. So I think that's a good reason.
I'm quite proud of myself for sitting through the movie the day before the audition. So all I knew about it was a story about a family in a boring town doing nothing. It was a tough sell.
You know, we look at the big events in our lives through the very small details and how important they are. They go by fleetingly, and before we know it, they're gone. And yet, they leave us with quite a legacy.
That's when I was truly hearing what the story was about, what the heart of the story was about. And it is a timeless thing, because we're born, we die, and the things that happen in between that are important are getting married, having kids, and your family and your friends. And that's what Our Town was about. So it truly is timeless.
It's you know, it's always relevant, because it helps to show what about human society and about humans in general is invariable. What doesn't change over 100 years doesn't probably change over 1,000 years, or 5,000 years. At the core, you know, we're still the same sort of social being that does the same sort of thing from day to day on day-to-day life, and all that really changes is the times, really, the technology.
2,000 years. So.
In Our Town, Wilder suggests the details that populate the big events in our lives are sometimes more important to us than we might realize. He compares us to cultures of long ago.
You know, Babylon once had 2 million people. All we really know about it is the names of the kings and some copies of wheat contracts for the sale of slaves. But those families sat down to supper every night.
Today, what we know about members of this local theater troupe and countless others across the country and around the world is that they often find their lives enriched and sometimes even defined by their commitment, dedication, and passion to the creative process engaged in community theater.
Well, I was in my office today. I heard a funny sound. What do you think it was? It was your mother chopping wood. There you see your mother.
Rewind 2 months as Country Gate Playhouse is holding auditions. Everyone is welcome to try out.
And chop wood. I suppose you just got tired of that?
I'm the newest desk drill. I will be doing the...
Each auditioner was asked to prepare a monologue for the occasion.
He offered me $350 for grandmother Wentworth's Hollywood.
Monologues are varied in selection and performance.
Do any human beings ever realize life while they live it? Every minute?
George, I was remembering the other night the advice my father gave me when I was about to get married.
The Country Gate Playhouse is a community theater that has been in operation since 1972.
Collaborate together on plays, musicals, sometimes youth productions, sometimes dinner theater productions. But the whole idea is that we work on a process that we help each other, we learn from each other, and our goal is to do as good a job as we can in producing a product.
Everyone at this playhouse is a volunteer.
Theater and different theaters and different shows. I've met so many people, and we do all support each other. And I do feel good when there's somebody who I know is good, who I've acted with, and they tell me they liked what I did when they watched me act. That's a really good feeling.
Very well done productions. I would say that is probably at the top of the list. The live music, part of that as well. I came to a few shows here as an adolescent, and Godspell is the one that I remember just vividly.
That was an accident. A friend of mine called me and said, Janet, they're doing auditions at Country Gate Theater for a Christmas review. Now, I love to sing. And she says, meet me at 7:30 there. And I came, and she didn't. And I got in the show. And it's been a wonderful, long relationship ever since.
Well, I live here in town. So the theater is less than 3 blocks away. So I would see the plays being advertised, and every time I would come down, I'd say to my fiance, we need to go see this. We should see this. And then we would realize we missed it because we just forgot and didn't get the tickets and we were busy. So one time I said, that's it, we're gonna buy season tickets. This way we have them, we're going, and now, we have no excuse.
If you don't have them already, you can.
On this late winter evening, auditions for Our Town are up and running.
That's all you need. The audition forms both sides. Make sure you read both sides and check it out. We don't need a $30 deposit this time because the scripts are not musical scripts. Is that auditioning, I think, should be kind of an entity unto itself. That you go to an audition, you present yourself, presenting another character, and you want to try to get better and better at that.
I can't bear it. They're so young and beautiful. Why did they ever have to get old? Mama, I'm here. I'm grown up. Love you all. Everything.
Blanche, how are you? Yeah, I have a pretty good idea why you're calling. I'm leaving me home with the check, right?
In this play, I take the part of minister. That gives me the right to say a few things more.
When I was in college, the teacher told me, listen, not just me, but everybody in my class, that the most important part of being a director is your casting. And I initially thought that's crazy because it's, you do that in a day or two, whereas the other parts of it take you days and days and weeks and weeks. But what his point was is that when you cast a show correctly, and you've got the right people playing the right parts, everything else goes a lot more smoothly, and it's easier.
Following the 2 nights of auditions, the director and production team approach the task of casting Our Town. Each audition form is reviewed and discussed. Almost like a jigsaw puzzle, the cast is assembled.
No, I thought she was good too. I think
I liked her monologue. I liked how she read.
And she definitely prepared the monologue. She was ready. She knew it. And you could tell she had done it before because she was up there. She took her moment to prepare, and then she went with it. Of all the women that read for Emily, I thought she was the best one. She's a little older, which I like the idea of Emily being a little older because she's got to play. Obviously, she's got to play young in the beginning, but then. She's a married woman later, so she's got to be able.
You want to be a little older.
She's got to be able to play a little older. But I mean, when I walked out of there last night, I saw her as our Emily. I mean, nerve-wracking wise. I'm
Yeah, 'cause
worried
we
about-
don't know her,
We don't
yeah.
know her. She doesn't have a lot of experience. Now, she played Rona in the 25th annual, which one is Rona? Is that?
That's Donna's daughter.
Oh, that's Donna's part.
Yeah, that's the
She's
one.
got a lot of training. I will give her that. I mean, it looks like she's Atlantic Theater Company. A lot of workshops. She's done a lot of workshops.
How old is she?
24. I kind of think maybe we need to give her a shot. Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
No, just some twins poured over in Polish now. I'm sorry, where's Polish now?
Polish Town is over here. On the other side of the track, Doc. So you're going to come down, down.
The first rehearsal task, blocking the actor's staging, always an important step in the process, seems somewhat more challenging this time due to the imagined scenery and pantomimed props.
Red, out. Turn around, back to the horse. Lots of pass.
Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have gobbled in like wolves. It'll stunt your growth. That's a fact. What are we here for, Wally?
Aw, Mom, by 10 o'clock you got to know all about him. I was Wally Webb. I was Emily's younger brother. In the show, I think I was going on a camping trip and my appendix burst. And I couldn't get to a hospital in time and I died. So, and then in the last act, I ended up sitting in a chair, like in the cemetery, while the narrator talked a lot about it.
I got to fill in for a lot of missed rehearsals and do the lines, and that was fun. I knew a lot. I had a lot of cues, and I had to, when it was my part and it was my role, I had to think, no, that's not my cue. That was her cue when I was filling in.
You know, Cindy had a great sense of humor about it, and she was, you know, a good sport about it, filling in whenever she could. Not only Cindy, but also Kayla, Danielle, several other people from the show were happy to fill in. You know, just the longer it went on, the more I kind of got the feeling that this is not really working out. One thing in community theater, I think, is that sometimes the best person for a role is not necessarily the best choice. And in this case, that might have been the deal there.
And that was something that was a little bit hard for the first few weeks, not having a regular lead to play opposite of.
As rehearsals continue, Emily's attendance does not improve. All are concerned, but forge ahead trying to make the best of it.
All of a sudden, my cell phone goes off. She just realized, after talking to the director of yet another show that she was in, that she would also miss another couple of weeks, I think, of rehearsals for our show. We knew she was coming from a long distance. We also knew she had some other commitments to some other shows that she was doing, and realized that this is just not to be. And as difficult as the challenge would be to replace her at this point in time, we're probably halfway through the rehearsal period at this point. It was something that we would have to do. Betsy was really the first one I thought of. I knew Betsy would be able to do it because I knew she was a very intelligent young woman, and I also knew she had a sense of commitment and that she would work hard to get it done. So I was delighted that she said yes.
It was when there weren't many ensemble rehearsals and we hadn't started Act 3 yet, so I wasn't really there that often. And I came and one day, Betsy's here, and I'm like, what? And it was a little scary, but then like everybody got to know Betsy and we realized that she's really talented and it worked out really well.
Betsy got thrown into the thing, so I'm sure I imagine she felt a sort of similar thing. I couldn't really do that because I didn't know what I was doing. So, you know, we got to kind of, learn together.
I guess I know more about Simon Stimson's affairs than anybody in this town. Some folks just aren't cut out for small town life. I don't know how that's going to end, but there's nothing we can do about it but leave it be. Come, get inside.
George, do you know what I think? Do you? I think the moon's getting nearer and nearer, and one day there'll be a big explosion.
I remember I did like how excited the kids were about it, because you had a lot of kids and not a lot of opportunity for them. You found places to use these kids who you knew really wanted to be in it.
I don't think people realize they can send their children here 3 nights a week during a show for nothing. It doesn't cost them a thing. And they are getting professional guidance. And just for the children that come here, they learn to work together. They learn to work as a team. And they know, well, I have to be there because I'm responsible. I have to do this part. So my fellow thespian can do their part.
In the ensemble part, you get to, you get to act as a group. The ensemble makes like the extra that helps put the play together.
Okay.
In like a role, that's like a part where you are yourself and you have your own special things you do.
I've always enjoyed my experiences here in the theater, whether it's backstage or on stage, up in the lighting area, whatever. It's always been an enjoyable experience. And when I take a break from theater, I think I'm taking a break, but really I just wait for my call to be on stage crew, and that's all the break I need, because if I stay too far away from it, I'll get depressed or something. So.
It seems thousands and thousands of years since Papa remembered that was my favorite hymn. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. I don't like being new here.
She's looking around and she's cautious at this point. Oh, I wish I'd been here a long time. You know what I mean? Just, she's kind of have to discover this new world.
Mama, I can't find my blue hair ribbon anywhere.
Just open your eyes, dear, that's all.
So when you do that, now this is, now you have to somehow assume a younger person. She might not remember that particular joke, but she remembers that her father was probably always coming up with these dumb jokes. So.
Oh, Mama, just look at me 1 minute as though you really saw me, Mama. 14 years have gone by. I'm dead. You're a grandmother, Mama. I can't go on. It goes so fast. We don't have time to look at one another.
That was good. And this is maybe the hardest speech of all, this one you just did. So you did pretty good with it.
Grover's Corner isn't a very important place when you think of all New Hampshire.
I really thought it was amazing that, in spite of the fact that neither Betsy nor Cullen had any experience in a principal role before, both showed an outstanding commitment and work ethic, and in my mind, were truly ready to open.
I think we're ready for an audience. Let's do it. The name of this play is Our Town.
somebody else and people laugh and applaud and seem to like when I do that, that is a really good feeling.
Different than any other play I had seen. So that was kind of hard for me to process. But then by the end, I was in tears, and that made up for everything.
Our town seemed to be very well received from the people that I had spoken with in the audience.
I think altogether, everyone worked really hard, and it came out really awesome. I think there's always room for improvement, but all in all, I think it was pretty good.
You work very intensely on something for 2 or 3 months at a time, and then all of a sudden, within in this case, a 48-hour period, it's all over. And you certainly look at it in a couple of different ways. First of all, you look and you say, okay, that aspect of things really worked out. And then you might look at another aspect of the show and say, well, we tried hard there, but we still have a ways to go. You take a look at the areas where you were successful and you celebrate that, and you take a look at the places where you still need improvement and you embrace that challenge. And all the time, you realize that you're surrounded by a network of people who are not only your cohorts, but in many cases your friends and always your community.
I really think a lot of it is the sense of family. That I've always said, and I always do, and I always will. I always come back here because I really feel like part of the family here. I mean, other places again are accepting, but no, here has always been special.
And it's almost like going home for like a holiday. It almost feels like I'm sitting on, my sofa at home with like a bunch of family members watching.
May 22nd was the anniversary of my mother's 1-year death, okay? And I went to her grave. I played a person in the graveyard here on our town just days before it. And while I was sitting on stage, I felt like, and Bill is reading the stage manager's, script of what we're waiting for. All these people are just in the graveyard and they're waiting. They don't know what they're waiting for, but it's something, and it's something important. And I felt like I was just shrinking into this little molecule of just sheer energy, waiting, just hanging out in the universe somewhere, waiting for eternal something or other, eternal bliss. And so when I went to my mother's grave just a few days after, I see her grave, I'm standing at it, and she was the postmaster of Hampton where she's buried. So I'm seeing all these last names on all these headstones, and I just felt like she was among everybody she knew, just like we were in our town in the graveyard. It was a neat experience. And I couldn't have predicted that to happen. Yeah.
It's just, when I walk in this building, you can feel comfort and kindness, joy. No matter what happens, there's going to be somebody here. If you fall on your face, they'll be here to pick you up.
cast for our town. That's the deal now. I never really liked to do casting. The whole audition thing is, in spite of what I told all the auditioners, I'm not crazy about the whole process myself, because you have to really pay attention. And sometimes I don't do well paying attention. And sometimes somebody will be reading, and he or she will be done for a minute, and I'm still kind of looking down at their form, and I don't even realize that they're done. But it's not polite. It's not polite.